Okay, so today we have the Friedman IRJ preamp pedal. So this is the Jakey Lee signature pedal. And just like the other Friedman preamp pedals, like the IRX and the IRD that I did a video on a few months back, I'll link to that here. It's a 2-channel preamp that can either be kind of a pure analog preamp into a tube amp, or you can use it in a digital rig because it has some power amp emulation and IR capability. And that's how we're going to use it here today. We're going to use it in kind of a digital capacity. So I'm not going to play it into a tube amp. I'm going to use the device just on its own. We're not going to put any pedals in front of it. I'm going to run a little bit of reverb on the back end just to kind of soften up the tone a little bit. But other than that, we're just going to hear the pedal in its pure digital form. So if we look here, we've got, like I said, there are 2 channels. Each channel has treble, mid, and bass, and a gain switch. Each channel also has a 3-way bright switch, and we'll test that out later. And then each channel also has a master volume in regular mode and a master volume in the boost mode. And you turn on the boost by hitting the boost pedal here. And then we also have a 3-way cabinet IR switch that allows you to select what IR you want to use on each channel. And we'll plug this into the app and look at this more closely later. You've got a foot switch to choose channel 1 and one to choose channel 2. And on channel 2, you get an extra gain switch. So there's 2 different gain modes. It's a 2-way switch like that. So right now I'm in the lower gain mode, and we'll test that out later as well. The other thing is on the side here, let's see if we can see a little bit, there are some dials here that allow you to adjust the boost. So the boost on this pedal is modeled after a tube screamer. So it's giving you that kind of mid boost, cutting out some of the bass. You can't really control like the gain. You're not getting gain from it, but you can control the tone and you can control kind of the volume boost you're giving into the amp, in addition to having a specific boost master volume. And then on the back, you've got guitar input, you've got a send and return for an effects loop, or this is the send that you would use to send into a tube amp effects loop return. So if you want to run this just as a preamp, pure into like a tube amp, you would send out here. You've got the main output here, which includes the power amp emulation and the IR. You've also got a headphone out, MIDI, the USB that I've hooked to my computer, and then you've got power. So why don't we go ahead and kind of hear how this sounds. So right now, as you can see, I'm on channel 1. Everything's pretty much at 12 o'clock, and I'm using my PRS SC Studio, and I'm on the neck pickup. Let's hear how it sounds. So it's a little quiet. You can turn up the volume just a little bit. And like I said, I'm running this digital, so this is running into my interface and direct into Logic on my computer. So you can hear there's a little bit of grit there if I dig in. So channel 1, there is gain to be had, but if you want a pure clean, you turn it down just a little bit. There's still maybe a little bit of grit if I really dig in with a bridge pickup, but you're not going to get a super pure Fender kind of clean out of this. There's not as much headroom as you would get. This is more of a Marshall-y kind of sound rather than kind of a Fender kind of sound, but it's still a pretty nice clean tone. So it sounds pretty good. If we push up the gain, I'm going to turn the volume down so we don't blow my interface. If we go all the way up in the gain, we can kind of hear how that sounds. So there's not tons of gain on tap on this channel. Just a nice kind of crunchy rhythm. Let's play with the bright switch a little bit. Let's drop the gain back down. So you can hear the bright switch definitely pushes the top end a little bit. So that's the most trebly. With it down, with it up is kind of medium, and in the middle is. So I found in digital mode, I like leaving it in kind of that middle position, the warmest position. Maybe if you're using a dark amp, that bright switch kind of gives you a little bit of cut. I tend to leave it in the middle. We'll hear how it sounds on the other channel, but I don't really like playing with a bright switch that much. And if we boost, and right now on the knobs on the side, I've got the boost basically at 12 o'clock. So I'm not really adding in any extra level, and I'm keeping the tone even. But if I hit that with a boost, you can hear it's just kind of giving that tube screamer hump a little bit. I can turn the tone down and it'll darken it a little. And we'll hear that more on the lead channel, where maybe you want to, if you're boosting for a lead tone, maybe you want to darken up a little bit just to smooth it out. But I like this for kind of a lower gain blues kind of sound. So that's channel 1. If we go to channel 2, again, I'm in the lower gain mode. So this is kind of a nice, plexy kind of sound. If we push the gain a little bit, let's go all the way up and bring the volume down. Maybe bring the bass down a little bit. And this is one thing that's nice with this boost being a tube screamer. When you turn it on, it really tightens up that low end. So even the lower gain mode, has some, has a good amount of gain on tap for like really crunchy rhythms. If we go to the second gain mode, so this maybe has a little more top end to it. So, that's max gain on the highest kind of gain setting. We boost it. So, there's not tons of gain on tap. Like if I was to push up the level on the boost. So I'm going to push the volume on the boost all the way up. So again, this is boosting into the gain. So that is kind of the max level of gain you're going to get just out of the pedal itself. So that's something to keep in mind. This is definitely staying in that kind of pure Marshall kind of gain. I think it's not getting to the levels of gain you might get from the IRX. And if we go back to the bright levels, so this is, again, that's the warmest. This is second. You can hear a real difference. So again, in the digital setup, I like leaving it in that warmest setting. So let's go look at the app. And always, if you could hit the like button, maybe leave a comment. Those kinds of things really help small channels like mine. If you're interested in picking up the IRJ or any other equipment, there's a Sweetwater affiliate link in the description below. And if you like this kind of content, consider subscribing. So the first thing I want to talk about is the IRs. So if you've seen any of the demos of the IRX or the IRD, this is very similar. You have 3 slots. And right now I've got the preloaded ones. We've been using this EV12 one. Maybe I should have been on the other ones here. That sounds nice. Or we go back to our. So definitely, as always, the IRs can drastically change how this sounds. So for instance, if we were to go to, if I go to the middle and I wanted to change it, I just hit this plus. I can cycle through all the ones that are here. Maybe we'll do a V30 here. So, of course, you can also load in whatever IRs you might have. So again, there's an infinite amount of options in terms of the IRs. You can really drastically change how the pedal sounds. It's a million different variations. We're not going to go into that rabbit hole, but know that that's there and you can tweak it. So if we go look at some of the other settings, so there's a presence setting and it's a 3 level. So again, if I go, you can tweak the presence levels. Again, you can't change that from the device itself. You have to do it through the app. But once you set it, you can just store it and it'll store your preset that way. You've got a thump. So that's changing some of your low end response. You've got a low pass filter, which is changing some of that top end EQ curve. And then you have a noise gate, which you can set either off 20, 50, 80%. So I'm running this at 50. I do find the pedal is a little noisy. There's a good amount of, if I turn off the gate, and you can hear that. So I like having the gate on. So that's a quick run through of the IRJ. I think it sits really well with the other Friedman pedals of this type. The form factor works really well. It's super flexible. To me, the big difference on this one is that kind of tube screamer boost. It gives you that nice kind of mid hump. It cuts off some of that low end. So if you're on kind of the gainier stuff, it gives you that nice tight low end. I really like that. So to me, that's something that differentiates it from the IRD that I had, is that kind of tube screamerish boost. Again, it's not adding distortion, it's adding level, it's tweaking the tone, it's giving that mid hump, cutting some of that low end. I think it works really well. I mean, definitely, I don't think this is a pedal if you want a super high gain tone. If you're thinking about Freeman or thinking about, comparing it to, say, the 5150, or you want something super high gain, I don't think this is the pedal for you. This is more, I think, closer to the IRD than it is to the IRX. But there's definitely a different tonality to the gain that you get on this. And I think it works really well. I'm really enjoying some of these Marshall-y kind of tones, especially with that tube screamer in front of it. So I hope you found this helpful if you're considering this pedal. And as always, thanks for watching.